Welcome to the Clean Air series, where we talk about the air that you breathe. Welcome back. Dan Dearden, Certified Air Filter Specialist by the National Air Filtration Association. So, recap of our last episode. We talked about how do we get rid of PM 2.5? How do we mitigate it? And we determined that one of the best ways is by air filtration. Now, that's just not coming from me. The Berkeley lab in UC Berkeley in California is pretty much the world-renowned experts in air quality issues, and their laboratory tests all kinds of things, good and bad, about indoor air quality. And it's their advice that the best way to take care of PM 2.5 is by filtration. And we talked about the MERV rating system and how if a filter isn't rated by the MERV rating system, who knows what it's actually doing. So, how do we get to 0 PM 2.5 particulate in our air? If that's our goal, is to get to 0 bad particles in the air, how do we do that? Well, we introduced the thought of a HEPA filter last episode. So HEPA filters, first off, what is HEPA? HEPA is high efficiency particulate air. So a HEPA filter is a high efficiency particulate air filter. Now, if you recall, MERV 16 is the maximum rating for the MERV system, and it stops at 95% of nanoparticles, fine particles, and coarse particles. Well, a HEPA filter, in order to be considered HEPA, has to catch 99.97% of nanoparticles, fine particles, and coarse particles. So, to get a HEPA rating, it has to be able to catch 99.97% of all of those three categories. So where are HEPA filters used? HEPA filters currently are used in typically super clean environments. So who needs a super clean environment? Well, clean rooms. And a clean room is typically used in pharmaceutical manufacturing. So you don't want anything in your drugs except for those drugs. And so there's HEPA filters, HEPA filtration systems in clean rooms where they manufacture pharmaceuticals. Chips go wacko if there's any kind of contamination to them. So in chip manufacturing, that's done in a clean room environment. So that's where HEPA filters are. You notice I didn't say homes. Well, the problem with a HEPA filter is it's very restrictive of air getting through. Okay, so just kind of a side conversation when I talk to my customers about, when is it time to change your filter? And so I demonstrate it like this. I say, okay. And so I'm holding if you're not watching this podcast and you're just listening, I'm just holding my fingers kind of crisscrossed together. And then imagine the holes left in between my fingers is the holes in the filter. Well, as the filter gets dirtier and dirtier, it collects more and more particles, and those holes get filled in, and so they're tinier and tinier. So filters actually get more and more efficient as they go along until the point where, if you notice, as I keep squeezing my fingers together, nothing can get through, including air. Okay? So if I have a high-efficiency particulate air filter, a HEPA filter, it's starting out with teeny tiny little holes, okay, which means not much air can get through, which means no particles, very little particles can get through either. When I took a look at my very first HEPA filter, I looked at that and I said, that looks like sheets of paper. How do they get air through that thing? So it's a very, 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 very fine filter that doesn't let hardly anything through, including air. And so you have to have a very, very strong blower in order to get air through it. Well, Residential systems do not have that kind of blower. And so if you put a HEPA filter in your average home central heating and cooling system, it will not let the air through. And you won't get heating, you won't get cooling. The system just won't work. And so that's why HEPA filters are not used in a central air system. So knowing that, and the testing that I did with my laser particle counter, I became very frustrated knowing that the HEPA filter is the gold standard for getting, to that 0 PM2.5 particulate level. And the filters that I were testing were typically not even achieving that MERV 16. They were more around MERV 15. And having customers, like I specifically remember this one customer who literally was in the hospital almost every week because her lungs just couldn't handle any aggravation. And so I was so frustrated because I couldn't provide my customers with the air quality that they really needed and wanted. So I really wanted to be able to come up with a solution for my customers. And not being able to find one that was manufactured, I decided to try to make one myself. And so after years of building prototypes and testing them, the NovusAer air filtration system was born. And what's funny is it's not really magic. It's finally just finding out a combination of filters and boxes to put the filters in and getting the airflow and the filtration that I needed to come up with a filter that actually works. We get the air filtration that we need with the airflow that the home style central air conditioning systems need in order for them to work. So the neat thing about the NovusAer HEPA-level air filtration system is that it catches 99% of the nanoparticles, 100% of the PM2.5, and 100% of the coarse particles. Now, a little bit about real-world testing versus laboratory testing. I don't know about you, but I don't live in a test chamber. Well, I do know about you. You don't live in a test chamber either. Test chambers are sealed chambers where no air exchange is going on. My home is a basic home built in 1969, and air leaks in and air leaks out. And a lot of the filtration products that are tested and the results that they give you are from a test chamber. Well, that doesn't work for me and it doesn't work for you. So we tested our filtration systems in real homes with real people and real results. Pretty simple. You put an air filtration system in, you take a laser particle counter, you count how many particles are going into the filter, and you count how many particles coming out of the filter. Like I said, it's not magic. It's just filtration. And that's how we found out and made the changes that were necessary to the air filtration system to get the results that we wanted to get. Another advantage that it has is the air filters last up to 3 years. So, Dan, you say it lasts for 3 years? Really? 3 years? How can that be? Well, take a look over here. If you'll see that we have 4 different filters that we've essentially disassembled and spread them out. You'll see the very first filter is your basic MERV 8 filter. If you remember, MERV 8 is the filter that just catches 20% of PM 2.5 particles. And then right next to it, you'll see there's another filter. And that's a MERV 14 filter. And then next to it is a MERV 16 filter. And you can see, wow, look how far that thing is spread out. Well, the next 4 filters over, all 4 of those filters are in the NovusAer air clean filtration system. And you can see it's got 4 times the amount of surface area that even the second best filter on the market has. You can see it has all that surface area that it can collect the dirt and dust for 3 years. I've even had customers where it's lasted 4 years. We had one customer that the filters actually lasted 5 years. But for the most part, they typically last about 3 years. Thanks for listening. I hope I've helped you clear up any misconceptions about indoor air quality, and hope I've given you enough information and educated you enough that you know how to measure PM 2.5 and how to mitigate it.